You are draining yourself over things that will not matter to you 10 years from now. I'm not speculating. I'm not theorizing. I know this because I spent 38 years sitting beside people in their final weeks of life, listening to what they said when the future was no longer part of the conversation. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that most of what is consuming your energy right now, most of what is stealing your sleep, most of what you're sacrificing your peace for, will fade into nothing. It won't feel important. It won't feel urgent. It won't even feel real anymore. The tragedy is that most people only understand this when they are old or sick or standing much closer to the end than they ever expected to be. They look back and think, why did I give so much of myself to that? I have watched this realization arrive in thousands of people, and I lived it myself. So I want to tell you now, while you still have time to change what you give your life to. The first thing I stopped caring about was being right. This was difficult for me. For most of my life, I believed that if I knew the truth, I had a responsibility to defend it. I argued, I corrected people, I revisited conversations, I gathered facts, I brought up old discussions with new evidence. I thought I was being responsible. I thought I was being principled. I thought truth had to be enforced. But after sitting with dying people for decades, I learned something simple. Not one person, not a single one, ever said, "I wish I had won more arguments." What they said was, "I wish I hadn't let small disagreements become permanent distance. I wish I hadn't turned opinions into walls. I wish I had just let it go." Being right costs more than people realize. It costs energy. It costs connection. It costs peace. And the reward is almost nothing. You win the argument and lose the relationship. You prove your point and create resentment. You feel satisfied for a moment and then it disappears, and you're left with the same problems plus more distance. Truth matters, but not every truth needs a battlefield. So I stopped correcting everyone. I stopped trying to fix people's thinking. I let others be wrong. I let them believe what they believe. I saved my energy for my life instead of their opinions. The second thing I stopped caring about was being understood by everyone. There was a time when I explained myself constantly. If someone misunderstood me, I corrected it. If someone judged me, I tried to change their mind. If someone assumed the wrong thing, I clarified. I exhausted myself trying to manage people's perceptions. But some people don't want to understand you. Some people already decided who you are. Some people interpret everything through their own wounds, and no amount of explaining changes that. So I stopped. I say what I mean once. I live consistently, and I let the rest go. I once cared for a woman named Patricia in the late 1980s. She spent her final weeks writing letters to people who had misunderstood her throughout her life. She was trying to correct decades-old judgments. She was dying of cancer, and she was using her last energy to defend herself, to people who had already made up their minds. I asked her gently, "Do you think these letters will change them?" She paused. Then she said, "Probably not." She never picked up the pen again. She spent her remaining days with her grandchildren instead. Let yourself be misunderstood. The people who truly know you don't need explanations. The people who don't will believe whatever they want anyway. The third thing I stopped caring about was what my body looks like. Not health, health matters, but appearance. I wasted decades judging myself in mirrors, avoiding clothes, avoiding swimming, avoiding photographs, avoiding experiences because I didn't feel acceptable enough. I treated my body like a project instead of a vehicle. At 92, I understand something clearly. Your body is not a performance. It is transportation. It carries you through your life, that's all. Every person who ever made you feel ashamed of your body was carrying their own pain. Their judgment was never about you. It was about their fear, their insecurity, their inability to accept themselves. Wear the dress, eat the food, go swimming. Stop postponing joy until your body meets a standard that will never stop moving. You will not wake up one day feeling finished. You will wake up old and wish you had enjoyed what your body could do while it still could. The fourth thing I stopped caring about was keeping up. The news, the trends, the outrage, the updates, the controversies, the constant noise. For years I believed staying informed was a moral duty, that I had to know everything, that I had to keep up with the world. Then I realized something. The world will keep shouting whether you listen or not. Most of what feels urgent today will be forgotten in months. Most of what feels critical now will be replaced tomorrow. Most of the noise is designed to keep you anxious, not informed. So I stopped chasing it. I chose a few things that matter to me, and I let the rest pass. And my life became quieter, clearer, calmer. You are allowed to opt out. You are allowed to not have opinions. You are allowed to live smaller and deeper instead of wider and louder. The fifth thing I stopped caring about was old grudges. I carried anger for decades, resentments from the 1960s, injuries that lived in my body longer than the people who caused them. The people I resented had moved on. They had forgotten. They were living their lives. I was the only one still carrying the weight. In hospice work, I saw people desperate to forgive too late. Families trying to fix decades of silence in final days. Brothers trying to reconcile in hospital rooms. Sometimes grace arrived. Sometimes it didn't. So I stopped waiting. I forgave everyone, not because they deserved it, not because it was okay, but because I didn't want to carry it anymore. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. The sixth thing I stopped caring about was my adult children's approval. I raised my children. I gave them my life. I sacrificed for them. I worried for them. I lived for them. Then they became adults with their own fears and opinions, and I realized I was still trying to please them. When my husband died, they wanted to control my decisions out of love and fear. I listened, I considered, and then I chose for myself. Love your children, hear them, respect their concern, but do not disappear inside their fear. You are still a person, not just a mother. The seventh thing I stopped caring about was productivity. My generation was taught that worth equals usefulness, that rest is laziness, that value must be earned. When I retired, I didn't know how to exist without working. When my body slowed down, I had to learn how to just be. And that lesson was harder than any job I ever had. You do not have to earn your right to exist. You are not a machine. Your worth is not measured by output. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to have empty days. You are allowed to live without producing. I am 92 years old. I have watched more than 2,000 people die. I know what they let go of. I know what they regret. I know what remains. And the pattern is always the same. They gave too much of themselves to things that didn't matter. They wasted energy on appearances, grudges, productivity, approval, arguments, noise, and fear. And at the end, they wanted peace. They wanted love. They wanted connection. They wanted to know their life had meant something. Some part of your life is being wasted right now. Some part of your energy is going to something that doesn't deserve it. You don't have to wait until you are old to let it go. You don't have to wait until you are sick. You don't have to wait until the end teaches you. Put it down now. Save yourself now. Protect your energy now. Choose what will still matter when everything else falls away. Because time is moving for all of us, and you only get one life. Don't spend it carrying what was never worth holding in the first place.